The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
I'm amazed that I have as much power as
This is the Great Disruptor Podcast, and today is the ever-important episode number 10.
Milestone.
Absolute milestone. My guest today to celebrate this illustrious event is a tenured Buffalo icon. I call him a few things. MC. You have an old soul to you, that old school spirit. So I like to call you an MC, not a rapper or a hip-hop artist per se. I feel like
I'm a
MC,
storyteller.
That's right. I feel like MC is your word. Artist, but in the truest sense of the word. A painter, a spray painter, a graffiti artist. And lastly, a tattoo artist. Studio owner at Golden Hearts Tattoo, 1362 Hurdle Avenue, Buffalo, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, the Buffalo icon, Mike Excel.
Wow. Icon.
I like it.
That's rough.
I think it's fitting.
I don't know. It doesn't fit yet. It'll grow.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. You know what's crazy is that I wore those same shoes last night, and I'm happy I switched out last minute today.
Oh, we could have been matching.
Dude, I know. I'm like half salty, but no.
Sorry, they're. I see them a lot. They're a good pair of shoes, right? They're affordable.
I like the sponge tongue.
Yeah, I do too. So this is my first podcast back in about a month. Took a short hiatus to film some other content. I filmed and I'm now editing my first ever documentary.
Congrats.
Yeah, man, I think so. Around a record label I started and ran, probably the 2015 era, called Greenhouse Project, GHP. You ever hear of these guys?
Yeah, it does ring a bell, actually. I can't really talk on it because I don't really know too much, but that's a triggering name for sure.
I feel like we were in two different spaces of Buffalo hip hop. I feel like
around the same time.
I feel like you've been around a little bit longer than me, but I feel like you are like truly a Buffalo hip hop. Like you are in Buffalo. And I'm on the outskirts.
Yeah. I was raised there. That's where I feel
Yeah?
like comfortable just being. Yeah.
Okay. So Heather Webb came on our show and showed you a lot of love.
She's the best, man. She let me go off in there.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, yeah.
So we featured the work you did for her on the podcast. We showed it. And then you and I linked up on social media from there. And of course, I try to show you love on there when I can. But you and I, to the best of my knowledge, never crossed paths in person prior to that. Or if we did, we just
Skis at the ski show.
Yeah. Prior to this, we never seen each other. I seen you at the Jae Skeese concert. I first had to confirm it was you, right? Because I didn't know if I was getting catfished.
I had accidentally shaved like too much of my mustache off, so I had to do the whole joint. So I had like the Abraham like fresh off like going on for me.
Yeah.
So sometimes I am unrecognizable, not by choice.
I'm very much in the maintenance state right now of like, how do I buzz out the grays and still keep it? Because I take the whole thing off, I become 18, but not in a good way, not like I look younger, like I look weird,
like a football player in high school or something.
So trying to figure out how to take them out but not take the whole thing down, very much the space I'm in.
I feel like I just become like the like artist, and it's not even about maintenance, it's just about like making a new picture, and that, you know what I mean? That's what it comes down to me, because I don't really care. I mean, obviously I don't really care.
I'm kind of in that same space, and it's weird to be in hip-hop but be in that space, right? Because the fit is ever important,
right?
But no, for me it's really not. I'm sorry.
For me it's really not. I have paint on every single article of clothing. I'm done fighting with it. I might as well just embrace it. I can't have nice things.
Do you have kids?
No.
Okay, I have a daughter, and once that happened, it very much became, however fresh she wants to be, we'll accommodate.
But the gates are open to all possibilities.
Yeah. So however fresh you want to be, I'll get you it for the most part, and I pay the cost for that and sacrifice. I'm okay with last year's wardrobe to accommodate you being up to date.
Yeah.
So I see you at the Skeese concert. Couple shots of Jameson, we more or less agree to make this thing happen. Here we are. The networking and the meeting of people and the new conversations for me has been the most beautiful thing about this whole podcast. And this thing I started, that's really the fruits of the labor is meeting and getting together with people like yourself. This otherwise doesn't happen, right?
Right. I mean, it's a great opportunity for just self-growth, speaking to individuals, their insight. I've lived my life, you've lived yours. We're meeting in the middle right now. It's a great thing. And the fact that you're on episode 10 just means that you're really putting the work in. And again, like it's a milestone.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy because it's like I feel like I've done so much more than 10. But at the same time, it's like, damn, I made it to 10.
Right.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought
I'd be sitting, because I started I've talked about this before, but I started in my house.
Yeah.
And dealt with the traffic in the background. My daughter, like, Dad, can you move the Xbox? And like,
while you're recording,
right. So yeah, the glow up is something serious from the people coming in now, like yourself, to the location. Like everything is cool, man. I like it a lot. I'm really enjoying it. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I was so stoked to roll up and just jump into your little world here and see what I can.
The price you asked to be here was a little high, but we made it work.
Well, I don't choose those prices. You've spoken. You spoke to my people. Talk to them again.
Yeah, that's fair. Our team's worked it out.
I thought you weren't supposed to bring it up.
Well, not the number.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't step on those toes. So that Jae Skeese show. What were your takeaways? Gotta ask.
Man, the takeaway was I was way too excited. Is that I went so ham, just seeing everyone and just embracing everyone being there and the community and the love. And like you said, a couple shots of Jameson, that it was just like so much of a blur that I wish I had like soaked up a few more moments, took a few more photographs, and like really encased the memory in time a little bit better. The performance was, Bonneville live for me was like one of the greatest things in the world. Like it's one of the songs that like really showed, his capabilities, how aggressive he can be over a beat. And yeah, it was just like, it was a great moment to be a part of, even if it was from the stage.
I have a lot of
the crowd.
I have a lot of the same feelings around it. One thing that comes to mind for me when I look back on it is like Conway is a whole different aura than most people I've ever seen on stage.
Yeah, he's the juggernaut of the whole thing, right?
Well
you
said.
feel it.
Yeah.
Like it's like
it's this weird, and I noticed this with freestyles too. Like when people go on radio shows or podcasts and freestyle, what I notice is like the people, because you see the people that like stand up, clap their hands, get aggressive in the camera. Mm-hmm. The people that are the most laid back and just like nonchalant, I find are like the nastiest verses.
Because sleeping giant.
Right, but it's like it's this aura of like I just do this shit, so I don't have to, I don't have to dance, I don't have to yell.
They say the 10,000 hours or whatever, what I mean, and I truly believe it that once you get to a space, in no way am I claiming I'm there, but Conway is 100% in that realm of his instincts are moving faster than his.
That's well said.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just a second nature to him. Like when somebody throws you a ball, you catch it.
Just gonna say, like a pro athlete.
Yeah,
right, exactly right.
He's just locked in a completely different way.
But
I wish I could see like the process that he does, because I know how Skeese, writes, and it's super fast, and it's very not about being over analytical or second guessing what you're trying to convey with these words. It's just it's wild. It's just like the podcast, just seeing how people do things is just so fascinating.
Yeah, it was a great show. It's a lot of fun. To me, it felt a lot like the end of Get Rich or Die Trying, or like the end of 8 Mile. Like it was very much, I've always wanted this. I've had my ups and downs, but now here I am.
I think he's always had it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, he did my first ever record release at Sound Lab in 2010 or 2011. And I remember just like having him jump on the bill was just like, I was putting out my first record, so I put together the bill that I thought, just off rip was the dopest around to kind of get the people to draw. And then when I first saw him perform, it was at that show really where I was able to sit and watch everything that he was capable of doing. And even then I can tell like he was on the way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Could see it. Bringing his daughter out was awesome. Mm-hmm. That was really cool. But yeah, very much like a look mama, I made it type moment. And that was the energy. And I would say it's one of the better shows I've ever seen in Buffalo.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the venue was cool to like have it in such a different location, because going to the same venue over and over tends to do something to the whole show unintentionally, I feel like, you know what I mean?
For sure it does, yeah.
So it was good to just spice it up a bit and have the room to like really vibe, and the upstairs and everything. So it was cool that After Dark did that.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway for me around like the venue was the sound system. Like I don't think like enough people are in the know to talk about that, but like I thought the sound was phenomenal.
Oh, it was thick.
Like,
it was
the way the bass was going off, but you could still hear the vocals.
It was like a warm blanket.
It was
wrapped around
you. It was very hip hop. Yeah,
yeah.
It was very
it.
much a sound designed for like hip hop like he performs.
Which is bizarre because they don't cater to it as much as I think. I could be wrong, but they don't cater to hip hop that much there at that venue.
I've
feel
only
like
ever seen one other
a live band kind of spot. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I seen just because my friend was on the bill opening. I seen Riff Raff there. That was the only other act I've ever seen.
Oh, you saw Riff Raff?
Well, actually, if I'm being honest, I left before Riff Raff.
Nice.
I cannot come on the show and tell a lie. But yeah,
I almost saw Riff Raff once.
I was there, but left before he played. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But another takeaway for me was there was a lot of love in that room. And what I mean by that is I think an artist's audience is often a direct reflection of the artist. And the audience was awesome, like friendly, peaceful, into it. It was a great atmosphere overall. Like it was more, I think the best events are when they're actual like events and not like a bill. Like, okay, here's 4 rappers rapping, but no real reason then to rap. This was like a celebration, like an event, you know? So congrats to Jae Skeese on that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I saw Bonneville live.
Nice, man. Week prior to that, I went to Villa Maria. I know you were just there yesterday.
Yep.
I went there to see Jae Skeese give a quote-unquote master class around his experience in the industry.
Oh, you got the peep the...
I sat in on that. It was open to the public. Yeah, I pulled up with my 9-year-old daughter. She had the day off of school. I took the day off of work. So really, really enjoyed that. I got to ask questions. I met Chad, who's Skeese and Conway's manager. Very, very cool, professional, approachable people. So yeah, had an awesome experience with them to date, and you know, rubbing shoulders with some cats who are doing what I want to do is good for the mind.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when they're so open to like listening to you and stuff. I think all that gatekeeping mentality and like kind of being a little standoffish is kind of going to be a thing of the past. I feel like there's way too much to learn and not enough time now.
That's interesting you say that. Do you think Buffalo has gatekeepers? Because I don't feel that way now.
No, but I feel like instinctually when you're approaching someone that you kind of look up to or idolize, like all those things, like they kind of affect you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So you kind of like create at least I do.
A pedestal, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I kind of just
it's intimidating,
and I approach accordingly because of it, but. I feel like it's a way quicker barrier, more so now than ever, to break down once you're in the room and everything. I feel like maybe it's just something I shed in my adolescence. Like, you know what I mean? Like before I was scared to say hey to somebody that I respected because I was like, they probably are mean or they don't like me or something like that.
You specifically, right?
Well, I'm a nerd. I'm like low key a nerd, big key.
Nice, bro. Yeah, I hear you 100% on that. I think a couple of things happened, so that doesn't really. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely like on a different note that I don't need us to dive into, but there's definitely like an ego issue with some people, right? Some people think they're a way bigger deal than they are, respectfully. But I think we have the right people representing Buffalo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I also think they are a lot more most of them anyway, are a lot more open and receptive to. I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's unique to where we are.
Yeah, they're all on a lot of podcasts. They do their thing heavy in circulation constantly. It's you can't, like, if the work ethic is so prevalent, like it's all inspiring, everything they do, and like bar for bar with all those drum work
100%
across the boards on the whole roster. There's not much you could touch. Like, you could hear some people, you know, that have this clout, and sometimes you can kind of like hear things in songs where you're like, maybe, like, I don't know if that's my arrogance of being like, I would write this differently, or I don't particularly feel like I'm connecting with whatever artist is, whatever they're trying to put out to the world. But with that whole roster, it's like every time they put something out, it's always great, and it's always like just above the bar that I imagine that I've set them at, and then they go above it every time. So it's cool to see their evolution, and they're evolving way faster. The snowball.
Buffalo is in a very, very magical place right now, where it's like I listen to some of the guys, and it's like we really have the best rap potentially on earth coming out of Buffalo right now, and for the last 2-3 years.
I know.
Granted, you mess with the style, right? Because it's definitely our own space. It's very dark and gritty and boom bap. But yeah, like, we very much are responsible for, you know, I would go as far as to say we have like 2 of the top 10 rappers alive right now doing it.
Yeah, they're on some trend setting kind of roller coaster right now, for real, to say that there's a sound, like a Griselda sound.
You find a Griselda type beat. You can look it up, like, YouTube it, or, you know, SoundClick, whatever, but that's very much a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And Derringer and all those guys, those producers have been, you know, if you just look back at everything and how it's all coming, like, it's not surprising to me, like, so much of like how they've gotten to there. I'm just glad that it's finally like coming to fruition for them. And you kind of just, the Griselda type beat. I always think it's like spooky, like Cartoon Network kind of vibe, or something, some Adult Swim boom bap.
Yeah, and you saying that kind of just turned a light bulb on for me that I thought I never had, where it's like their production is probably as equally responsible for their wave as much as they are, because it did very much, you know, craft their space.
They carved
lane, right?
their way. Yeah.
You got a bit of a history with Skeese. Flipping through your discography, I seen him on your IG. I see him on your records. What's your guys' history, and what's that relationship like?
Just like being in the hip hop circle, you just bump shoulders with so many people, and I've always just kind of followed my gut with things. So, like I said, for the first ever record release, I had to have Skeese on the joint.
What year was that, by the way?
It was it was like March 12th, 2011, I think was the date. It was at Sound Lab.
You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, like a long time. Even before that, just like, you know, high school, like bad rapping in high school was what I guess I did.
We've all been there.
I swear, I like listened to Black Star, and I was just like, it just like woke me like up inside, and I was like, oh shit, like this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. So I kind of like just wrote down a lot of my thoughts from there on out.
I ran into something, I think it was on your Instagram, basically you describing how you rap or why you rap, and it was like one of the best like blurbs for like because it was a lot about like, these are my experiences, these are my thoughts, and, you know, some humor time. Like, I'd like to make words rhyme, I like to play with words, and it's like, yo, same. Like, I felt that 100%. And it wasn't somebody telling me like, you know, like a very bland, like, oh, I make East Coast rap, go listen.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was like very much you, and I thought it was really well written. Like, it was like one of the best gateways to like click throughs to like, all right, now go from here to here because of this reason. Like, it was really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you know, starting around 2011 with some background, messing around like we all did.
But yeah, then I linked with Skeese because he did, like I said, my first ever release show, and then years go by. It's like here and there you kind of see him popping up, and then I was kind of digging deeper into just like who I was trying to be as someone that like goes through music, and then you have these fallout with friends, and then you have this growth, and then you move around a lot. Your circles get smaller and bigger, and then Skeese had seen that I'd been out doing my thing for a while. He's been doing his, and he hit me up for some tattoo work. We got to talking, and then we just kind of were sharing music, and I tattooed him a couple times, and then we just started like, I'm like, hey, what do you think of this track? He's like, oh, I could, do a verse or whatever if you want, and we kind of just almost like traded services.
100%.
Yeah, so it was super organic kind of flow through. It wasn't so much of the business thing that kind of taints the experience between an artist and another artist, where it seems like, well, what are the goals? What are we trying to do? What is the market saying? What, it just, for me, I have to make music continuously, like just to feel like, I'm living my life.
I feel that 100%. I feel like your story is very relatable to how I feel about music, but I think you, like, I made music and my intentions were like, how do I get on the radio? Like, let me go out of my own pocket and like over pop this to try to find something.
Force it, kind of.
Yeah, and I don't, like, I play that music back now, and it's like, why was I trying to do that? Because
it's dope. Everything you do is dope. There's only one of you, right?
That's a refreshing answer, man. I appreciate that energy. But I was going to say, like, I feel like you
don't always go back, though.
Yeah.
Because it gets painful the more you go. Like, you do it every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll remember how you were feeling back then. It's weird. That's what it all is, though. It's just like,
they're bookmarks. It's timestamps. Yeah, it's
right? My fossil records for when people look back.
But I was gonna say, like, you were very much on the opposite end of that. You listened to Black Star, and you were like, let me be the ultimate MC, right? And I was like, how do I?
I think I wanted to be. I was like unfortunate
music
looking, and so was Stephen King. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna like write and like be like this guy, and that's gonna be my way out or something like that. So I was very into like writing, and then I would get into illustration, and then music came into my life through like cello, viola. I played those for 6-7 years just so I could stay at school longer, because it was where I was getting my culture back home. It was like, what the fuck am I going to do back home? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing going on. I just didn't have access to anything. There wasn't the internet. You know what I mean? I used to go to a library and do this shit,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, man, that's a great story. So I first heard of you around 2013, and this is when I start distributing my own music. So that's when I become aware as to like who else is on this scene. What does it look like? What are people doing? What are people listening to? And you were already a fixture in the scene. I kind of looked up to you from a distance because there wasn't. I think actually Buffalo probably had quite a few, but I was gonna say like another white rapper, in a space where there's not a lot of us, right? But I remember seeing your music, your videos, and you were often with Short Moscato, who I don't know firsthand. Don't get me wrong, I know the name, but were you two a duo or a group, or what was that?
Yeah, we did like a one-time like matchup, and then it just kind of got lost in like the echoes of time. Kind of, we had like just drifted apart, and I don't know, he went and did his thing, and then I just went and did mine, and I kind of like just tried to like do it in a way that didn't interfere with like the pipeline certain people were surfing, because to me it just seemed just not my route. So I didn't really it was like a first thing. But before that, I mean, I'd been making music a long time before that, but that was just such a quick little blurb in the whole.
Okay, because in my memory, you guys were like Mobb Deep or something. Like you were like a duo.
Yeah,
we were doing like tapes and shows. Or am I tripping?
It was like 1 year.
Okay,
and it was like this. I don't even know how to like put it together. It just came to like this full moment where everyone was kind of like linking for the first time. There were younger people involved that were getting less afraid to go on stage and show the skills. And it was just like a meeting of minds, you know what I mean, for 1 second. 100%. Then just like two things that you just boop, and then you just go in a different direction, Sure. So it was like right place, right time kind of stuff going on at that point. And I was making music with a lot of people from that Essential Vitamins crew, and we were just throwing these rages, and we just kept meeting more and more people, and Cooley High was one of them, and they were all, that was like the group back then, Cooley.
Yeah, I had that documentary I mentioned to you. I was asking a question to somebody, and I said, like, what are the biggest Buffalo rap groups that have existed? And they mentioned both those groups.
Cooley High?
The Cooley High and the Essential Vitamins, yeah.
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 Yeah, the EVC. That was a lot of us. It was like a art collective before we knew like what to call it or the terminology or whatever.
Yeah.
And we just all hung out. We had this house on Elmwood. My dude would just chef up beats, and then people just pop in.
No
Back
kidding.
then, it was...
That's so hip-hop, eh?
Dude, I was drinking 40 ounces of malt liquor. Rapping my ass off like
Yeah.
like I was somebody. Like, truly like I was somebody. And
Yeah. That's a hell of a time in your life, it sounds like.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, you know?
Yeah.
You make mistakes, you grow. You make more mistakes, you grow.
So I this is interesting, man. I kind of fancy you a bit of a Buffalo hip hop historian. Like you kind of you're in the know, and you lived a lot of, like, you were there for a lot of these things, not just know the story.
All the Broadway Joe stuff. I got into it because of like skating, and then through painting, I met some guys that were like extremely older, and I got invited to this like party on Parkside, and it was Pseudo Intellectuals is the crew. They were playing in this basement, and my one buddy, who was a grade above me, rapped on the mic, and I was like, holy shit, this is like the essence like of my being, like watching it go down. Because before that I was like penning, but I was like, ooh.
right. Yeah.
Like I wasn't jumping in the circle or anything.
Right.
And then I saw that, and then I was just like so empowered to like just go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's...
You're kind of like the Forrest Gump of Buffalo hip hop, I feel like. Like you're kind of there for everything.
Say don't got to worry about money no more. That's good.
Nice, man. Nice.
But yeah, I've been through it all. I used to sneak in when I was younger. At Broadway Joe's, I was 16. I used to throw my hood up and just fucking like right through the door. Like,
Yeah. My first show I ever played was Broadway Joe's.
Nice. So
think
you were a part
played
of
there
the
2 or 3
legacy,
times.
dude.
Yeah, it was, what was this? Al Max and L Biz.
Okay.
Put together.
Biz is a monster too.
Yeah, put together 4 or 5
So is
of
Max.
us. And then once I did one, I was like, my brain has always worked this way. Once I did one, I was like, well, I can just do this myself. Like, I don't need somebody to book it and invite me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can just build this myself. You know, I just got to put the money up, you know, and I can
Right.
put whoever I want on this, you know, go however. I'm the headliner now.
Right.
You know? Yeah, man, it's around that same time. And I remember always seeing these. You're on Nickel City Blend.
Oh yeah.
So I'm infatuated with this because I was looking at these last night. I ended up on the YouTube.
You watched them.
The most recent one is like 7 years old, so they're old. And you were like 10, 11 years ago. But I remember seeing those videos when they were new coming out on the feed and getting them on Facebook and whatnot. But I wasn't there for this. You got to tell me about this. Like, whose idea was it? Because it looks like it's someone's garage, yeah?
Yeah, it's someone's garage in North Buffalo.
Okay.
Nick, his name is. He just basically had this space and just let us kind of like go in, and then like more people would show up, and it was just like, it was like fucking flies in a bug zapper. You know what I mean? Like people just kept showing up and doing things, and you'll see a lot of in that footage, a lot of artists now that are a little bit more well known in the art community.
West Side Gun's on there, yeah.
Just like and like also like people in the background that also like rap, like
Yeah.
just sitting in the crowd. Like I remember doing those and being like, at the time, like, you know, being on film is important to, you know, like to encase these moments, because who knows, you know, what, you know, not to bring up anything bad. Anyways, but it's important to sit down, film, put it out there, and I like had the realization there, and I went so hard on those verses and those performances. I thought of it as like, hey, if these guys are willing to go to these extremes, why shouldn't I do the work? So I was prepared. It's my first time really putting, you know, some oomph into it, where I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking like Excel. I'm going to be this person. I'm still like in the oven, but you know what I mean? The clock is ticking. I'm ready to, you know, respawn and be the MC I think I can be at that point, you know.
What was the catalyst for you where you switched to I'm not timid enough anymore to where it's holding me back? Like, I can go ahead and perform this now. Like, what made that switch happen in your mind?
Delirium, I don't know, right? Isn't that what I'm supposed to say? I'm just like the right amount of dumb to like go on stage and not like really be hyper effective. I definitely was, but to me it was like one of those things that I just, you know, I knew I kind of could get behind, and like I wasn't like, oh, I was never worried about my songwriting skills, because like I said before that, I'd been writing stories, I've been putting myself in people's narratives. I was like just obsessed with people's worlds and like seeing how they live and like studying, you know how this person reacts to this situation in this book or this TV show, and I just, you know, soaked it all in. I was just a giant sponge before I even started writing raps. So when I had all that, writing the raps, like, you know, just it was more fun to me because now I had this nice metronome to like write my thoughts down to, and then just over time it just becomes a whole different monster. Like now it's like, am I driving the ship, or is you know, what's going on?
So this 2013 era, like when I look back on,
are you talking about oh shit? No, I'm just kidding.
We'll transition, but I just like really like last note on it, but I don't know if it's because it was like when I first started, it was kind of like, you know, like like a pro athlete like in their rookie year probably looks and it's a special year for them, but like I just look back on that year and I just, in my head, it's very much the way you just described, you know, that apartment that you guys would all rap at, where it was so organic and like grassroots hip hop. In my,
you never knew what was going to happen, what song. Like,
do you have a favorite year or like time frame in Buffalo hip hop? Because that time frame is like golden to me.
Yeah, it is. It was like, for that I learned so much. It was like the wringing out of every possible emotion it was in my, you know, younger life into my new adult life. So I was able to just like get it all out and let it all out on the table and like see how people reacted to it, and just familiarize myself more with how I'm perceived, how I look on camera, what I'm going to say through these raps. So it's like, you know, I could step out of my body, look at it, move around a little bit, and learn a lot. For the first time I was doing that. Before I was just kind of like, you know, just hammering away at things, not really having direction.
Right.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Got you. So I mentioned this already. Like you're very much Buffalo, and you said you were raised there, grew up there. But we're all called Buffalo rappers, right? Like anyone from Western New York is a Buffalo rapper. Like people don't say like, oh, that's an East Aurora rapper, right?
Oh, he's from Amherst.
So I need to know like what section is of Buffalo. Like I grew up until 5th grade, Herb Street off Genesee. So I consider myself like East Side Buffalo. Okay. What set do you claim?
None, I would say, just because like truthfully, I grew up in North Buffalo. I would ride my bike all the way to Tech, so I would always be downtown, and which kind of like, you know, brushes up against the East Side. So I was there, you know, a lot, just studying the abandoned buildings, you know, seeing what was going on with all that shit over there. And then the West Side was where it was at when I was in high school and then into college a little bit. So it was just basically, I rep Buffalo. I don't want to hear.
I don't really like know even how to like divide it.
Yeah,
I literally Googled it one time.
I just
like,
don't spend a lot of time.
Subdivisions.
I don't spend a lot of time in South Buffalo. I've spent time there. I like it there, but it's just one of those places I just don't spend a lot of time in.
South Buffalo doesn't feel like Buffalo. South Buffalo feels like Cheektowaga or West Seneca.
It does have its own,
you know,
like little like off the path kind of vibe to it. Like it's its own
but
little...
North, East, West all have like very different like branding. When I think about them, like North is like high end, East is like gritty, West is like artsy. That's in my mind anyway. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that's how I see them.
Yeah. It's hard not to group things into little groups, right? So like, yes, you're right, But like every little bit that you named is in each of those sections too. But it does seem like there's more in certain ones than the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like definitely the West Side is a little bit more art forward, and local music venues are more open to a lot of different things.
Where would your shop fall into? What umbrella? Because it's on Hurdle.
Hurdle, it's very well. The shop is, I would say like more of like a boutique kind of vibe to the shopping aspect of things, where it's not so much like people that live there all the time go to those spots all the time.
Right.
I feel like it's a sought out location, the North Buffalo Theater District thing over there by the North Park, that people go there just to check it out. So it's not a lot of neighborhood feeling to it, whereas the West Side, I feel like everyone has got this.
That's a great point.
This brethren, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I never thought about that, but when you say that, that absolutely clicks. That absolutely is true, like from what I can see. And I was thinking about and have talked about like premiering this documentary I'm making in a theater, and the far and away
North Park is awesome.
Everybody's like, go to North Park. I've never been there. I know where it is. I passed it, but
yeah,
never been inside.
The Dear Prudence video is filmed inside there when they were doing the construction.
No kidding.
Me and Covert did back in 2013, your favorite era.
Look at that.
Jeez.
Nice, man. You were doing everything in 2013.
Yeah, except tattooing and making good decisions.
You live and you learn, buddy.
I know.
So I'm gonna ask you a loaded question, a fun question.
Okay.
You can take it anywhere you want. You can say influential to you. You can say important to you. You can say your friends. But I'm gonna give you some more context. But I want you to give me top 5 favorite or best Buffalo rappers in your opinion, all time, and give you some context here. While we were at the Jae Skeese concert, I just love this question. I asked for fun, you know. I asked Brennan Anderson this, and he told me Jae Skeese was. I think respectfully, he was very in the moment and just in the celebration.
Jae Skeese the best motherfucking rapper alive. Yeah.
I asked Genesis. He said his dad is, and he meant it. Who is Mike XL's Buffalo top 5? And like I said, go. I don't need you to necessarily break it. If you can, if you want to, but this can be favorite, influenced by your friends, whatever it may be.
That's huge. There's a lot of data to sort through. I'm not going to do them in order.
Sure.
Because you could figure it out. Definitely Jae Skeese. Definitely Tone Atlas. Third Son, Gaines, and Tony Boy.
Wow. That's a very unique list.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
But those are like the closest
that's your list.
ones.
That's your list, man.
And
I
I
like
hate
that.
to not put any of Griselda on there. You know what I mean? It's definitely no disrespect, but to see what those dudes do and to revisit the songs that I heard from some of the guys that aren't doing it as much that I mentioned, it just always brings me back to a good place. So those are.
What were the 2 Cooley High ones you mentioned?
Gaines and Tony Boy.
Okay, right.
Much love to Skate. I fucking love you, dog.
That's what I was thinking of, because I went to high school with him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think he was a year or maybe 2 younger than me, but yeah, we went to high school together.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the wild, streets of Cheektowaga.
Sheesh.
I've been listening to your music a lot the last 48 hours or so.
I was wondering when those views were coming.
Seen it went up +1.
Yeah, +1. I said, we got him. See you at the Grammys.
I've said this to you, you are completely unique and true to you. You don't sound like anyone else. Like, to me...
It's because of allergies and my weird nose.
Not because of the content, but because of your voice. It sounds like if Gorillaz was boom bap. It's kind of like what I was putting together. Like, just your voice. That's, I don't know.
Like Dell or the other guy?
Whoever their frontman is. But then he also was the front of Blur, I think, right? I don't know his name.
No, wait, wasn't that Oasis? Or maybe
No, it wasn't Oasis.
Wasn't the one guy from Oasis in Blur?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's...
Just your voice sounds like him, not your content. But yeah, and I mentioned it seems like you're aware of your uniqueness and definitely, do play on it a lot.
I just can't control it. That's the whole thing.
Sure, yeah. But you tell very personal stories, experiences that only you can tell. And I just appreciate you and your music, man. It's good stuff.
Thank you. That really does mean a lot to hear that.
That's lovely. We're happy to make your day. That's why we brought you here.
You did. Way to go.
For me, lately I've been struggling with the writing process. I can make words rhyme over a beat. Don't get me wrong, but you talked about it not too long ago, and it's like my life is changing, right? And like I'm 36. I take my kid to school and I go to work. Like,
it's coming at you.
What am I gonna hop on this record and tell you? So yeah, like I can make words rhyme for the sake of making words.
You could
rhyme.
also approach it from, like I said, the storyteller point of view. You know what I mean? You could find the smallest character in the biggest story and then just write something based on their perspective, and no one needs to know the difference.
No, you're right. Yeah, and that's where I was getting.
If you want to just keep like the gears going, because I have to write like. I mean, I don't have to, but like I try to write like every single day. Now I'm doing this thing where I have like stages. I was like, I have the one I care about, and I'll do it one bar at a time. And then I have like a throwaway beat where I'm like, today I'm going to write the whole thing, and I'm just going to set up a recording session. I'm going to record it, and I just want to just like get behind the mic and just keep it going, keep it going. So it's like smaller micromanaging of the same fucking thing, which sounds more complicated than it has to be, but it allows me to write, to keep me in the writing gear, because once you start going, you can't stop.
That's right.
But also stop and live a little life, so you do have some.
You have to in order to have stories to tell, right? But
I shouldn't give advice. I'm not good.
No, that's what I want to talk about right now. It's like I very much have a desire to make like my apex album. I haven't made it like
the pinnacle, the zenith.
Right. Like I've made 2 EPs since 2020 was my last like full length 15, 16, 17, however long it was, album. And I've done EPs and singles since. But I was like, that 2020, like, it's not a new album anymore. Like, 2022, I can be like, I put this out, go listen to this. But now it's like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's not really me anymore. It's like I shed that layer of skin in those stories, and now I'm a new guy. And I want, like, this new collection of this is me and my stories, like my life's work.
But you're not translating it
My mind goes to the things I've heard. Bitches and money, and it's like I don't want to tell those stories.
You have to shut down your subconscious. You have to cut yourself off from music.
Yeah,
I would figure out pick your discography of beats instead of one song at a time, and then just like know you're going to write an album with these beats, and then just unplug. Yeah, and just because if you do it one song at a time, like certain things will slip in, man, and it always fucking does when you're like driving around listening to something, or like there's some hook thing that kind of resembles something you're writing, and you're like, where did I hear this from? And you're like, oh, it's a fucking pop song on the radio.
Right.
This melody is stuck in my head, and now it's part of the song. How do I undo this? Never happens to me. But I'm saying
you heard it happen to other
I
people.
could see it. A friend.
100%. Your mind kind of autofills what you've what you've been listening to.
And
it
you
want
to complete the job. You want to get to the end. So you like figure, that's what they say, like the older you get from the memory, like the more you construe it and change it, and less true to what actually was. So
yeah. But yeah, I'm very much in the space of like differentiating rapping to rap and make words rhyme, and like, oh, this has 16 bars. I can think of 16 bars, but where do I draw the line with, okay, this actually means something and can stand a test of time and still be played back and be cool in 4 or 5, 10 years, whatever it may be. But then the second part is the other thing you mentioned. Like, finding beats is like so hard. Like, I don't know if anyone else is having this problem or if I'm like extremely picky, but
it's good to be picky, because I've definitely like rhymed over things just to like I said, just to
didn't have anything else.
Yeah, just to keep the gears going. But it's definitely good to be picky, especially like now, like you said, you're a little further down the road. Things are going to be more impactful to you because of the time that you've already lived, and you like that's what you owe to yourself. That's what you owe to the craft. That's what you owe to the game. Like, is just becoming better. So you're not getting better. What the fuck are you doing?
Right. So I mean, for me, it's like frustrating because I'll like sit down with every intention to write a song, and it's like, all right, we need a beat first.
Do you write a song in the same place every time? Typically. Do you go to the same desk?
Typically, yeah.
Change that.
Change it up. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been going to the foot of Ferry sometimes and just doing it in my car.
Oh shit. Okay.
Just one of the spots. I don't even know why that spot. It just happened the other day. So like, I've been trying to explore that aspect of it too.
Yeah.
But then I'm just like, the seagull landed on the French fry. No, I'm just kidding.
Bars. Yeah, and also it gets like, it gets more and more difficult the more responsibility I take on. I'm just making excuses at this point because if I'm gonna do it. But it's like the kids are buzzing around.
It's like a
I'm
psychological.
trying to write this song, yeah, and
it's something I'm like really working on a lot. Is that like you're only putting yourself into situations in which you know the outcome, even if that outcome is failure, but you're capable of accepting that failure, so you approach it versus, just going at it in a way that you're aware of this self-sabotaging thing, and to put yourself in the unknown ethos that you're not prepared. Because if you want to go for it, you might not be able to handle that upset, right? Yeah. That's what ultimately is keeping you down. But who cares is like what I'm trying to get to.
Sure.
But I'm still learning every day to not like.
Well, I often feel like just like
self-handicapping yourself.
Yeah.
It's like a pandemic in its own. It's creating speed bumps for yourself for no fucking reason.
You're going in right now.
I know.
Yeah, but for me, like, I'll feel like abstract or like a weirdo sometimes. It's like be like in my house with the
That's
fam,
where you need to live.
and they're like eating dinner, and I'm
right
like
there.
trying to rap. Like they're like, "What is this guy doing?"
But you're the only person in that place, so it's like
Yeah.
that's a good perspective because only you can talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to get there. You gotta have faith.
A wise man once said.
I know.
Yeah.
George Michaels. Was he the originator of that song? I don't know why I asked him. I was like, do you know everything? No.
You could ask.
I didn't want to say that you were old on camera.
Oh, man. So playing your music, your Spotify only goes back till 2000. Why is that?
2020.
Yeah, that's what I meant. 2020. Why? Where's everything else?
I just kind of put it out under SoundCloud sporadically for a while, and I wasn't really sure on because there was 4 or 5 years where I was writing a lot of music and I was doing shows here and there, but it wasn't as important to me as pursuing tattooing was and other artwork. Mm-hmm. I kind of had to lock that down, and that can only happen through experience, which turned into neglect from writing and doing those things that involve music. But it's there. It's on SoundCloud. There's some YouTube videos. Yeah. We were doing I
just didn't know if you hit a hard reset. We're this is new me, because I've seen people or know people who have done that.
Where they change their name or something like that.
But we've all been there. It's better than my old stuff, but it's supposed to be
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Man, I'd be mad listening to my 21-year-old self here and being I'm still saying the same shit. It just seems like a waste of time.
What I run into with the old stuff is family members, so cousins, mom, etc. We'll be at 4th of July parties. They're like, "Oh, let's listen to Paul songs," but they play starting out. They'll play 2013. I know this because it was your first song.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you remember this
they'll
one?
They'll find that and play that. And
you
it's
remember
it's so
this one?
Cringe. Shut it off.
I know. I know. And honestly, it's hard to feel when someone else is playing your music in front of you. It's such a hard thing to.
I just have this forever chip on my shoulder. Even though it's myself, it's I would destroy that version of myself now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. It's a great thing to be able to say, because some people probably get stuck and they just walk away from it. But
sure,
yeah, it's good that you're growing to be a better songwriter, because that's what it is. If you're not bringing anything to the table, like I said, what the fuck are we doing all of this for? What are we doing?
Yeah,
it's to go further so we could do the research and understand there's something to it all, that there's some meaning behind it and why we do what we do, and if it helps anyone else on their journey, it's great too.
Yeah. Correct me if I say this word wrong. Your most recent single, The Epic of Gilgamesh?
Yes, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
So heavy hitting on the feature. Kadir Latif. Is it Camouflage Monk production?
It is.
Okay. First of all, tell me about the title. I have bare fundamental understanding. I know of it, but not much deeper. Why is it that?
Why is it the Epic of Gilgamesh?
Yeah.
it's like a dive into like, it's kind of like a dive into like religion and the earliest forms of it. It's Sumerian, I believe. It's very much one of the first documentations of the Great Flood, which is referenced into the Bible, which is Noah. So it's some of the first human storytelling.
That's the extent of what I know. The first human transcript, or however you want to frame it.
And then it through, you know, meticulously chosen words, I just take jabs at how things become watered down, how there's certain knowledges we're not allowed to know because we're not deserving based on whatever making those decisions say we're not. It's just a whole rabbit hole of, I need to start getting on a sleeping rhythm and staying up too late on my phone, going down every conspiracy theorist ever, and aliens are in the ocean, and this is why people treated Jesus this way, or this is why the pyramids are this way, and what their real, you know, service is to Earth. And it just became a crazy obsession. And then I also had this beat that Camouflaged gave me, and I have no idea what that language is that he's saying, but it just happened to be in my life right at the same time. I wrote this verse, and Kadir happened to be there when I was recording it, and he was just like,
no kidding. Where'd you record it?
We recorded with M80. I think it was Bridge.
Okay, yeah.
He was like, yeah, I could do something to this. And I was like, okay, let's go. And then he
Please
did.
do.
He kind of like
Yeah.
yinged the yang, you know what I mean? And just did his flip side of it. And his verse is so fierce. Mm-hmm. What if jail was the college? Like,
he's got the voice to do what he does.
Oh man,
yeah, for sure. So Camouflage Monk, I see, and this is not, I don't say this in any disrespectful way, but I couldn't point him out in a crowd, but I see his name on everything. What's your guys' relationship?
A long time ago, in 2013. No, it was probably like around there, but we did these parties, and he was also a rapper and putting out some music on college radio, and he'd hit me up for a feature, and I just kind of linked with him then, and then he went off and became this crazy beat maker. And have you ever heard his?
I hear him on the Griselda stuff all the time.
How he like kind of like got into like?
I don't know anything about this person.
He's
like,
from
Buffalo?
Yeah, he's kind of actually, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he's
been here.
He's been here. Yeah, he's been here. Like, I wasn't born in Buffalo.
Okay.
But I've been here since.
Where were you born?
Connecticut.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we edit that out? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, he was telling me his story about making, I think it was something. Oh my God, I shouldn't even tell the story because I don't know too much about it. But here we are. He made like Pray for Paris or something on a PS2 on a Fruity Loop sample thing.
Wow.
And it was like one of the first. It was one of the tracks I think he has on Pray for Paris. I can't, or maybe one before that. But he had made it, and that was like the beginning of it. That he just like kind of like had the tools.
That's insane. I remember that program on PlayStation.
Yeah,
I remember playing with it.
Yeah, he said that he just kind of like felt the pressure to produce something, and then he was like, I might as well like jump into the beats. And then, man, he's just like what he's done, and like what I've heard that he puts out for people, and like the projects that he has coming out. Mm-hmm. He's a really really talented beat maker, and just like his whole approach is just refreshing because it doesn't sound like it's just like, you know, the typical, you know, loop a joint, put something, you know, like how he builds. It just seems like he was just kind of figuring it out from like a completely different like perspective, where he was just such a fan of it that he had like was motivated just by that and being around Wes when he was doing his thing, that he just kind of like started making beats, and that's how it started. I'll never forget that he said the PS2 thing. I was like,
That is wild. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, man. So Kadir was at the studio and
Yeah.
was just like, I'm gonna jump on this.
Yeah. Well, he told me, he said, I got this video coming and I have these overalls and I need them to be dope for the video. So I painted all these like giant Black Panther.
Okay.
So like service for service, right?
Right.
He was like, so I got you on this if you do me for this. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, we laid that down and M80 did all the production on it. And pretty sure it's the first time Kadir and Camo had worked together.
Wow.
So it was great to bridge that gap of like Buffalo, because
100%.
a lot of the times you are working so close to people that you just like yesterday was the first time I ever shared stage with Genesis.
Yeah.
Like,
nice.
That's like bizarre to me, you know, almost at the same time, you know. I've
Yeah.
seen so much of him and everybody, and it was just like one of those things that just never like met up.
He's super talented.
He really knows how to. The great thing about the show last night is that it was a very intimate thing. I got to use a mic stand.
It was in the Villa Theater upstairs.
Yeah,
the seated auditorium thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was like a seated situation, which is weird because you're like, I want everyone to get live and dance,
right,
and have a good time. But it was like a showcase in the actual sense where you were able to like do a song and discuss the song, or like have these moments with people where you can connect a little bit better, versus, you know, you got 12 minutes, you can't hear shit, the lights are crazy, everyone's drunk, and do a good job. If you don't do a good job, you know, it'll just affect
12
everything.
minutes sharp.
Yeah, because honestly, I'm probably only good for 15 solid. I won't lie. I think the jokes get stale, and then I just like...
Wait, 15 minutes you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
like 15...
That's your sweet spot?
Yeah, like right around there.
Yeah.
I get a nice little like 20 seconds in between some songs. And I've also been like really sculpting the actual performance where I want things to end, where I want to talk, and even preparing like small jokes and shit has been fun.
Yeah, 100%. Spot
like,
on.
Right, yeah.
That's the ideal. If I was to tell you what I'd like to watch, that's exactly it, what you just described.
A little bit of control.
I want to hear you
But
talk.
like,
I want to
but
hear you tell
make
me
it sound loose.
I want to hear you tell me the story. I want it to, although it could be a serious story, I want to still be able to be lighthearted enough to laugh. Like,
yeah.
So it's funny you said mentioned the service for service thing a couple times. One of my visions and goals for this podcast has always been, because I mentioned to you, like, I have a large, I think the majority of my community outside of family and friends that are watching is the Buffalo hip hop community. And I don't ever want to shy away from like the business of features. For example, you got a pretty like you got some strong features in your catalog, right? Like a handful of them, like probably as much as anyone.
Skeese,
right?
Camino, Kadir, Camo.
Yeah, Chucky's in there. I seen his name come up.
Chucky, my dude Blaze B from Chicago.
Yeah,
had a bunch of stuff with Simon Said. That all comes from traveling though. Like you really got to put in the legwork to travel. You don't really realize how much the artistry is respected until like you're an artist on the grind in another city, because they're fully aware of, you know, what you had to do to get just to show up there, you know. So they're very much more appreciative, whereas if you're playing the same places here over and over again, it just doesn't hit the same. And that's,
well, you can only, if you were only playing Buffalo, in my opinion, I'm not the expert, but I'd say you got to have at least 6 weeks in between. Otherwise, if I'm playing today and I'm also playing Monday, like, well, that's the reason someone's not going to come. Like, I'll just catch the next one.
Exactly. And it's a big ask, you know. The older you get, people have these lives now that still follow you from when I started, like 23, 24, that they just can't make it to anything. So you don't want to, hey, I have a show, hey, I have a show, hey, I have a show. They're just like, hey, why don't you ask how I'm doing, instead of like, you know what I mean though? Because a lot of artists are like, hey, support,
100%.
and then like even I am
that
guilty,
one DM you already know what it's gonna say.
Yeah, yo, been a minute,
$15,
peep,
Venmo,
peep.
Yesterday,
that is me from time to time. I have to like shamelessly.
It's part of your job.
I know, it's the wackest aspect of the job, is like waving your own flag like super heavy is like so tacky to me.
Yeah, become kind of a sales rep, right?
I know, it's so soul sucking.
Yeah,
at times, But
why can't you all just be aware without me talking?
I know that's what all of the years of in the booth was supposed to do. But
I seen yesterday. I actually screenshot this and sent it over to Scotty because it was so Buffalo rapper. It's this woman on Facebook's birthday, and so I click over and I'm about to type my happy birthday, and I'm just scrolling through, and it's just happy birthday emojis, happy birthday emojis, happy birthday emojis. Then somebody posted Peep Does, and it was their rap video. Then after it, happy birthday emojis, happy birthday. Oh, this guy.
it was the afterthought, though. It's like, oh, by the way,
no
you
happy
did
birthday
it.
was included, but it was in the thread of 100 happy birthday wishes. This guy dropped this video.
Yeah, I don't want people
Oh,
to
man.
stop doing that, but it's just hard to do it in a tasteful way. It's like, I think one of the biggest struggles of being an artist, especially with the internet being what it is, and this whole tidal wave you can get swept up in, that you just always, it's like fucking the internet or the lottery on your phone. You're just picking these numbers and then you're fucking hoping that they hit. And,
Yeah.
and it's just like, they got us bad.
Yep. But back to the business side of things. I was going to ask you, and tread lightly. I didn't want to ask numbers specifically, but like, hey, what is like to get somebody like Kadir to do a verse for you? Like, did he ask for a commission or whatever? But you mentioned service for service, which that's an awesome trade off for you, and you're in a great space.
I would say like for all the artists, like close to like, I mean we're all grown men, so it seems like I don't see like why a band wouldn't make anyone kind of like keep their brows down and like be a little bit more focused.
Yeah.
So that's like around the ballpark of everything where the work is equivalent to that amount, just because that's just the number that makes people move.
Yeah.
It's just the first one.
So I've got a couple stories around this, and I'm going to tell them. Feel free to chime in with any questions you may have. 2 stories, one of which I experienced firsthand.
With a feature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kadir, yeah. The other, probably my best friend at the time when this story takes place. But first, for me, Kadir Latif, probably 2014, 2015 era, 1 year away from your favorite year. I paid for the feature. Well worth it. Gave me a very like fair, I can do that price, right?
Nice.
But I must say, like, it is the hardest feature I've probably the hardest verse in my whole catalog.
Oh, like his verse, like bodies.
He goes crazy. So he asked for this commission, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it. Like, sure, very, very reasonable, like a very fair number, right? So I pay it. But bro comes through the studio, which was my friend's. He had an up and down apartment, and the top was just a studio, and the bottom was where he was living. So the top was just the living room, was converted to a studio. The rest was just empty. And there was a bathroom, But the up was converted to a studio, and then we had the closet. We had the booth in it, but it was like soundproofed and all high end equipment in there. Everything we needed, right? So he came through the studio. This dude went in the booth to lay this 16 for me, and he improvised / freestyled and punched in every 4 bars, right? Like he would rip 4 bars, play it back, like it or didn't like it, either retake it or keep it, do the next 4, and then all the way through, and then laid his ad-libs a couple times after it.
Yeah.
But bro went fucking nuts.
On the freestyle tip?
On just the verse in general. Like, you wouldn't be able to differentiate that he was punching in or that he didn't write it, because it's...
No, Camino did the same thing with me for the number 1 joint that we did. I was like, oh, you're not like gonna like physically write down anything, which is something I just do and thought that everyone did except Jay-Z, and you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, the breaking down of bar for bar, and like I can't do it, but I've definitely seen people do it. It's unique. Like, I don't know how to. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, but I've only, if I can remember correctly, I've only ever like people that I actually physically reached out to, asked them to rap, got the verse back, or they came. I think I only paid for it 2 times, but he was worth every dollar. Like, he over delivered. And yeah, like right now, like I don't like the song, but that's on me because I was a little kid at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he smashed this thing. But yeah, just absolute incredible experience. Other side, I mean, there's enough name recognition that you're gonna. I've never told this story to really anyone, but I watched this unfold firsthand. I was giving feedback the whole time. So at the time, my best friend, he's rapping, making music. He's got 2 or 3 songs out, but
It's always the best friend. No, I'm
yeah,
just
sure.
kidding.
But he's got a bigger budget than anybody I've ever been associated with. I'm talking, at the end of the day, he's probably put like $40,000 into hip hop music, just between beats, features, music videos. Yeah. And he doesn't even rap anymore. But like at the time, this was like,
He was buying big features with that.
yeah.
What like who were we talking about?
Kid Sparks is
Okay.
what he was. Then he transitioned to Wolf.
Okay.
But those were his 2 artist names. But yeah, like he didn't release a lot of them for some reason. But he like went to California and did a song with Dr. Dre's son and did like
Okay.
a full video, shot it in California.
Never released it.
Rented a car, never released it. I think he ran into like disagreements over rights or
Like
something.
legality stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I say all that just to tell you, like the budget was there to spend.
But the trajectory wasn't. And you thought maybe
Just in this particular instance, to me, it's one of the biggest fumbles I've ever seen. So he reaches out. This is right when West Side Gun releases Fly God, and
Okay.
like really like his West Side Gun's life like changes right in front of all of us from really that album on, as far as what I can tell.
yeah. The catalyst.
Yeah. You know, he's got like Action Bronson on there and like other household names. But anyway, so like he's buying these other rappers. I'm like, you're from Buffalo, and this is like gonna be our flag bearer for as far as I can tell. I'm like, definitely hit him up and see like what it would cost for him to jump on. Mm-hmm. So and I'm gonna say the numbers because I think West Side Gun has come far enough and has made enough money that he won't care.
To ask
to
tell him
say
the
these
number.
numbers. Yeah, this is 10,
Yeah, what
11
is
years.
it?
This is 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
I
he's
can't
probably
wait.
100 times it by now. But I didn't see these with my own eyes, but this is what I was told. He wanted $1,000 for the feature, and I was like, yeah, 100% do that.
a band.
I was like, 100% do that.
Yeah.
So they're both on board.
That also like indicates that like, you know, he like I don't
Fucks
know.
with you because you're from Buffalo.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
indicates that he's got a little faith in the project that you're doing, in the vision and stuff.
Exactly.
Because he's not, you know, just treating you like a lick or whatever. You know,
Yep.
it's like,
So I'm like, 100% do that.
yeah.
So
He did it?
No, he didn't. Hold
No?
on, I'm getting there. So then he circles back and he says, I feel like I'd get way more value out of this if I got the video to go with it. I'm like, yeah, you definitely would. So I'm like, ask him the price. So he circles
To be
back,
in the video?
to do a video, to do the song and then a video for the song.
Another band.
Exactly. Another $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, 100% yes.
Okay.
Do that. And then he comes back and tells me, like, he's all kinds of salty about this.
Like it's too much money?
He's telling me he wants me to give him this so he can go get new sneakers for the video. I'm like, who cares? Like, don't you, and
called
like,
a rider.
But yeah, but it's like that's like his gimmick is fashion. You know what I mean? Like, not
Right.
that it's a gimmick. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean that like in an insulting way, but that's like his identity.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm like, yeah, whatever, put it up. Like, you know what I mean? But
You're asking him for something, he's asking you for something. It's the same thing.
he turned it down. I would respectfully say this was
Because he didn't,
this was an
he
ego
didn't go
thing.
pick up some shoes for Westside.
Yeah, and I'm like, now those other features, they like Dre. I think he gave like
I'd have been like, what
I
color?
think he gave like 10K, and it's like I couldn't even tell you that guy's name. Like I know Dre's son is his name to me,
Right.
You know, I couldn't tell you a song. He's made nothing, but yeah, he didn't end up doing it. I don't.
What are they called? Nepo kids or something like that? Where
that's
they're
exactly
like,
right. But the moral of the story is West Side Gun now has 3.6 million monthly listeners, and
the ship has sailed, my friend.
yeah, and more or less changed the dynamic of rap music and
Yeah.
modern culture, and yeah, I think ego kind of ruined that in one of the worst fumbles I've seen.
Sometimes you just got a lot going on at certain times, you know. Maybe he had a bad day. Was also salty about a bunch of other things too. There's lots of
Yeah,
things that could have made it go
I
south.
think like when if I had the budget to be buying into features, like if I was just shopping like the whole world feature market, not like quote unquote local artists, right? Like for me, it's like it's kind of like the stock market. Like I don't want to buy prime Drake right now, right? Or prime Kendrick Lamar right now.
You want
would
2013
be,
Mike
we'd be in
Excel.
6 digits, 7 digits, right?
Yeah.
You need to get them before the stock explodes, or On the back end, it's down, and now they're in the legend category and not in the prime. You got to get it before or after, like not right into prime. Is just kind of how I look at that market. But yeah, so the business of rap, like what could have been had you made that move. Yeah,
but even then, it doesn't guarantee, because at the end of the day, the only way you're doing anything or making any waves money is if the music is really fucking good.
Yeah.
And that is their job to already have in the bag before hitting up a feature. If you're going into it thinking the feature is going to be the wind in your sails, my friend, then you're a bad captain.
Yeah.
I would. It wasn't meant to be, clearly.
Right.
And imagine how mad he would have gotten if he did buckle in those circumstances and nothing came of the song.
It was just such a match, though, because him as well, the person buying the feature, was very much like a fashion rapper. So it would have
fashion rapper is
like
so crazy.
The sneakers and clothes is the lot of the content.
Yeah. I always thought just like image is such a pinnacle or just hand in hand thing with rap music, and then to go even further and say fashion rapper, that's like such a bizarre term to me.
Yeah, kind of like A$AP Rocky comes to mind in the mainstream.
Yeah.
What's the vision? I know you juggle a few different crafts. What's the vision for you in the sense of hip hop? Like, are you where you wanted to be? Are you everything you thought you could be? Or do you, in your mind, are you like, I can and want to sell out arenas? Like, where is your vision of rap? What does that look like for you?
I just want to keep going until I just meet, to think what I do would fill an arena is insane to me. There's not enough chorus or choreography.
Well, Run the Jewels can fill arenas, and I feel like
but their music is like faster tempo, like heavy hitter, and everything I'm talking about is from such a like goofball, pessimistic, emo kid skater point of view that a lot of people are like, shut the fuck up sometimes, you know what I mean? And just because I happen to do it in a way that other songwriters can respect is like how I've been able to do what I've been able to do. So I'm like a rapper's rapper is what I wanted to be. I just wanted to be like acknowledged.
You are that.
Yeah. Like I feel like once, like you said, once you dive into, and you just keep going and going and going, you're just like, whoa, like, if you keep looking at it, like there's hundreds and hundreds of songs out. There's hundreds of songs that aren't out. So it's just always been, for me, I just wanted to be good, and my job is done when I'm, dead. So it's never like
eternally or infinitely creating.
Yeah. So it's just like, no matter what, I'm always like, the more you do something, you don't get worse at it. So like where I'm at is that I'm just trying to become the best songwriter. If anything else comes along the way, like I'm ready to experience it, and I'll approach it in the way that I know how to. But I'm not doing it to sell on arenas. Like that doesn't. If I did, like if I could explain why I do it, it's just to like literally get things off of my chest. Yeah. And then I have a beat that happens to reflect the exact mood I'm feeling in right then and there. Because whenever I like make music, I'm always doing it all in like one sitting. So like I always like, this is how I'm feeling. This, like, I don't really come back to songs until recently, when I told you I have the way that I categorize it now, where it's like the song I care about, what I need to do, like my exercises, like lyrically, and then just like sometimes I'll write down weird phrases that I just think is fun to say, and it'll just be one bar that doesn't rhyme with anything, and it'll just wind up in my notes, and I'll hear somebody else say it, and sometimes, and I'll just be like, what word did you just say? And I'm like, what did you say? Like even old time sayings, I keep hearing stuff from back in the day. Like somebody said, "See you next Tuesday," and I never knew what that was.
Wait, there's a deeper meaning. I got you. See you. Okay, I got it.
Do you have it?
I got it, but I don't understand why you'd say it to somebody. But yeah.
Well, because you could say, "Hey, they're a real see you next Tuesday."
Okay. I thought like it was like a like you were leaving and then somebody.
No,
said,
I heard.
See you next Tuesday. Why would you say that to me?
I hold this older woman at the grocery store. She like leaned back and she did the whole like, she's like, I think this one's a real see you next Tuesday. And I was just like, what the fuck did you just say? So I like looked it up and I told Nadine, my girlfriend, and she knew it right off the rip. She's like so good on all of those like pictures worth 1,000 words, like all those like weird sayings that people say.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just
Such a mom thing to say.
I know it's great though.
So speaking of Nadine, were you guys? That's your partner at your shop, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, me and her.
And also,
partners
you're dating or you're married? Where are you?
We're dating.
Did that
5 years now?
What came first, the business or the relationship?
Well, we've been in a relationship for 5 years. Before that, we were just like tattooers. You know, she would come and visit, hang out. We would get to know each other, and then go back home. And eventually, we just kept getting closer and closer, and we just decided to, you know, quit playing ourselves and just try this out for the real thing. She moved here from outside of Columbus. And then once we got together, we just realized like we were the camaraderie between us is very like a nice like roasting of one another, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So it's like this like loving competition.
That's a good dynamic to have, I feel like.
It is.
The comfortability to do that.
It is, because when you're vulnerable and the person that you love like just like roast you a little bit further, you're like, all right, this is the worst. This is the worst of it, because if you're making fun of it, then who cares what anybody else like thinks. But yeah, we've been together for 5 years, known each other for about 7. She moved. We started traveling like crazy. We did 4 years on the road. We'd work at a shop in Buffalo and then go on the road for a few months, come back, go on the road for a few months. And we just kind of started to feel like we don't want to waste anyone's time. And if we're not there, like they can have somebody there full time to do the job that we should be there doing full time. But we were, you know, just trying to get a different kind of education out of tattooing and artwork. And you can really only get it from traveling, like I was saying before about touring. And like, it is its own education, like people and how, you know, people in this region react to this kind of music and how accepting they are to these ideas of this type of artwork. And it was just like a crash course in like business, because we got to meet some of the most successful people on the road and see how they do it. And it's just all about just keeping a consistent flow and being a good person, which is something that I felt I always kind of like knew deep down, but sometimes when you're in a smaller situation or a city like this, you get so close to these people that you get to see things that you're not the biggest fan of, and then that kind of like turns into this like deteriorating image, and it kind of makes you repel against them. So I try to just keep everybody at like a nice distance while I'm home, except for my close friends, and everyone else like just gets an open gate flood pass whenever I leave the city. I'm like, here's all of me right now. Let's go. Let's skip all the bullshit. How did you do this? How am I doing this? Let's figure it out. But it's more like reciprocated outside of the walls of Buffalo. Where here it becomes here. I feel bad saying bad things about.
If it's honest, it's not bad. That's how I look at it.
I just don't want to share all of me to everyone here anymore.
Sure.
It's just something I have done for years and years and years and years, and you keep on figuring out ways to maneuver through this way or that way, and it's just too small of a situation to affect me the way that it has in the past. It's given me depression, anxiety. You know what I mean?
Avoid those things.
And that keeps you in lockdown. You know, so when I'm outside the city limits, you know, I just feel like a little bit more freer, knowing that there's like more people receptive and not like, oh, that's Mike. He's been doing what he's been doing since 2013. I'm getting that. I'm getting 2013 tatted on me, brah.
Nice.
Face tat.
Nice, bro. Nice.
But just traveling. It's really, really done a number on the evolution of what
I felt the same way when I've traveled. And do you like pro wrestling at all?
If
you got to think about it, you don't, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like back in the day, I had the action figures. I had like,
Of course.
I had the.
So nostalgic.
What is it, the
only reason I
Universal?
asked-
Is it the Universal Soldier or
I have no idea.
the one with the mask, the colorful mask? I think it was random, like
Rey
Randy.
Mysterio?
Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I remember that dude. I used to have that.
Sure.
And like Ninja Turtles, and I would
Oh,
always fight them.
those were my jams, and Power Rangers. But no, the reason I asked about wrestling is it's something you said. I literally heard him say about wrestling last night. I was, at the end of the night, I just play like podcasts in the background to fall asleep. And I had Seth Rollins on, who's like a top wrestling star right now. And he was talking about he's traveled so much that when he goes to Kentucky, he knows I can call someone a chicken and they're going to think it's hilarious. But if I say someone is a chicken in Brooklyn, they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah.
this is for kids. Like,
Would you just fucking call me?
right.
What?
So
ass?
golden hearts. How did that come to be? Is it golden heart or hearts?
Golden Hearts.
Okay.
Two of us.
Plural. Gotcha.
Two of us. Well, we really wanted to indicate how much better our hearts are than everyone else's.
I already could see that.
Yeah, no. It just kind of like hit us before. We were thinking of like all these like darker like names, something to do with like, mortality or grim reapers and graveyards and roses and all these like images and tattooing. And then we just kind of like looked at each other and we were like, we're fucking goofy, like optimistic, like nice, kind of like.
Yeah, it's an inviting name.
Well, we wanted it to be inviting, but it just reflects our personality. You know what I mean? It just sounds like a brighter, light in us. You know? And that's what we want to do. That's what me and Nadine's whole thing about what it is that we do with our voyage together now is that like if it doesn't, we try to ask ourselves if it doesn't like grow the light inside of us and like help us like. And in the decisions we make, we just make another decision. So like if we acknowledge that like, hey, like we're asked to do this, are we doing this? Should we do this? Is it the best way to love ourselves and, the environment that we're creating? And now like not jumping at every single job and like kind of maintaining, a rhythm to what it is that we're doing. It just seems so much more beneficial into like my well-being, her well-being.
100%.
So it's just a reflection, like the gold meaning the everlasting and like the standard of what we're trying to keep between ourselves while slowly taking little jabs at each other.
Is it just you two?
It's
your
just
business?
Yeah, it's just us two.
That's incredible.
I know a lot of people are like, you live and work together.
There's a lot, man. Yeah, that definitely comes to mind. Like what happens because naturally as humans, you guys have off days, but then you got to go to work with each other.
Right. We are both so crazy in our own little bubble that we've created that like it doesn't really come into like, yeah, there are, like you said, off days, but we just work so well together that in times of when we need to execute, we're able to like shelve something if there is like an issue we have to talk about, or if something's going on back home with somebody's family member. Like we know when to be the business of Golden Hearts and when to be Mike and Nadine, which
it's a great skill to have.
It is something that only comes with time for sure, and it's
You're so
exhausting.
mature.
No, I'm not, dude. I'm not. I collect so much Spider-Man shit. Like,
yeah, that's your guy.
Pete.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just still a student. I'm learning every single day about.
Is Miles Morales ever going to make his way into the cinematic?
I'm hoping, dude. I'm hoping. I only saw the one. Isn't his dad a cop?
Yes, from what I remember.
Yeah,
from the film.
fuck the police. That's like my only beef. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Is that I'm like, your dad's the ops, bro.
Aren't you? Yeah, he's basically a better version of the police. That's basically what Miles is.
Yeah, but he's fighting with heart. You know,
with a golden heart.
Yeah,
that's what he fights with.
Plug right
Tie
there.
all that in together. How did you, the same question I'd ask any person that tells me they built the business that you built. How did you handle COVID?
We've only been open a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
As soon as COVID, dude, we are so crazy. As soon as COVID happened,
well,
we were like,
your
oh my
income,
God,
right?
It's so cheap to travel. And we just fucking, dude, we just
like that's a green light.
We hit the road. I think we did like 2.5 weeks in fucking New Orleans, just sitting there, like doing whatever we want in the big haunted mansions in the French Quarters. No one was there, and it was just like I feel like, yeah, the pandemic was so terrible, but it gave this time of reflection and more of a.
During the pandemic, was tattooing your main source of income?
Yeah, it was my only. It's my only.
How did you?
We would
were
go.
You guys still allowed, or was it just kind of under the radar?
We were like chasing, like the free zones. You know what I mean? We'd be like,
wow.
We'd be like, okay, shit's about to shut down. Let's just go.
So you
here.
went to Austin, Texas, and tattooed people.
I did go to Austin, Texas. Yeah, my buddy.
Literally?
Yeah. My buddy lived out there. He was like, come check it out.
A whole lot of freedom there, I hear.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some semantics. It's like I didn't experience it enough to talk illy of it, but it's definitely nothing to write home about. It's starting to become some big stand-up comedian thing or something
that's
like
what
that.
I hear. That's what I see.
But yeah, we went there, New Orleans, Florida West Coast. Yeah. We did everything in between. And in between all that, you just, like I said, you meet the most amazing people, and in a time like that, meeting somebody was just difficult in itself. So like I feel like those bonds like solidified through that experience, and then right after that, everyone is just like so happy to be out. Everyone's touring, everyone's putting out music. TikTok is like becoming a thing. I'm not on there all like that, but I could just see people gaining the momentum to be out there again, and the love of what they were doing, and try to like hitting their goals and just like living their dreams. It just became so much more rapidly abundant that it was great to be a part of that and meet all the people I did on tour when I toured, and have them come here. And those are some of my closest friends now because of those.
You toured your music?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
How many stops did you do?
The first tour I ever did, we did like 26
wow.
26
shows.
It's
a big deal.
Yeah.
How did you book this thing out? Do you do it all yourself?
So the very first one was a friend of a friend that actually toured with my homie Simon, and we did this show with Gift of Gab, if you know who that is. He's an MC that passed away. Phenomenal MC. If you should look him up, Gift of Gab.
Noted.
And we did the show in Cleveland, and we kind of like bumped into each other, became friends, and then her and this like pop. My first tour was with two like pop singer girls, so they were just like, "Hey, we have this tour lined up. We just want you to come along because we kind of like your music, and I feel like we're all on the same like vibe, and it would be nice to just have like, a few more people around in case some weird shit happens." And it's just like the two girls, their one driver. Was there a driver?
That sounds like an awesome experience.
It was crazy.
I'm very much flirting with the idea of I want to have that life experience
of touring.
Yeah,
it is. It's like it's like a tug of war, right? So you get motivated to go out there, and then when it doesn't go well, like you can let it affect you, and then like you have to go into it like a little bit more on the financially set side, because you can't depend. You can never. I say this so much. You can never depend on the tattoos, the artwork, anything. You just have to keep creating, and hopefully something will happen. If you chase the fucking butterfly, it won't land on you. So you just got to keep it moving. You know what I mean? And if it does, great. But if it doesn't, you tried your best, and that is in itself a little bit of a reward. But you just got to go into it like thinking anything can happen, and if it doesn't, I didn't do this with the intention of self-gain or some greedier motive that isn't, because the universe knows. You know what I mean? That'll push it further away. The more that you want something, and the more that you dislike other people that have it, or put like you just create, like I said, these obstacles for no reason.
I just finished a book 2 nights ago all about everything you're talking about. Asking it is given.
What is it, like a therapy book or something?
No, it's like manifestation,
law of attraction type thing.
Exactly right, and I do believe in it heavily.
Yeah, they say if you think about something for like 17 seconds in your mind, you hold it there, that becomes like
a vibration.
Yeah, and it actually becomes a part of the universe.
Yeah,
I don't know how. It's hard to believe in stuff.
I
You
agree.
know,
I hate to say it out loud based on what I just read, but
I know you want to. You say that's a really
until
great
I see
romantic
it, it's hard
way
to celebrate
think about.
it, but they want the opposite. Celebrate it before you see it.
Yeah, and you can't go into it being like, yeah, I'm doing this. You can't talk about something like it happened before it happens. That's how you clown yourself. It's like the tale is old as time. Like actions, and then people will say the words. 'Cause you can't call yourself a fucking rock star. Yeah. You know what I mean? That just makes you
until you are
a nerd. Yeah, no, they do it.
Yeah,
they have to do it. You can't crown yourself. It's fucking corny.
One thing I took away from that, and I'm gonna ask for your feedback on. I don't know that you have the answers. You don't have the answers, Sway. But like for me, like I asked you like what your vision is in like rap, like what do you see for yourself? I've that's all I've ever wanted since I was like 16, 17 years old is to have rap pay my bills.
Yeah.
It's all I've ever wanted. And the size of the room, I would accept like what Conway can do to a room like we were just in. I would absolutely, if I could tour the city on those sides, or the city, tour the city, play Nietzsche's, and
right.
If I could tour the country, like and fill rooms like that, and make an income that's equal to or greater than what I make with a 95, that and greater is my ask. But on the other end, like, why can't I play arenas?
Do you have songs that you think you could put up against the higher ups?
Sure.
And be like,
I think
we can go toe to toe with some of your tracks.
I think what differentiates me from most of Buffalo hip hop is Buffalo is so gritty and boom bap and East Coast, and I think I can connect more mainstream than most. And for that reason, I think I can be a bigger draw. But I find, you talked about like how people aren't, you're not filling an arena with your sound. But I think the opposite of that is you just have to find your audience. Like, sure, you can't play that to the same audience that is listening to the opposite of that. But right. Is there an audience in the world that would fill a room to see that? Yeah. How do I get in front of them? How do I market to them and bring them in? I think is very much where I'm at. Cause I have, like, I humbly tell you, like I've played rooms of 100, 120 people, with myself being the attraction on that bill. But that's a total different audience that you'd see it's not like a hip hop boom bap audience. It's right. Girls and guys I went to school with. You know what I mean?
Right. They're showing love to the
homie. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but it's like there's an audience for everything, no matter what you do. Right. Like, but it's just finding that audience. But I guess what do you think is like, if you were me and you like, I'm telling you, this is everything I want in life. Like, what would you say? Like, hey, go do these things then.
To make your life feel,
to take the next steps to make that a reality. Like, what would you say go do right now, or that you can do right now?
To get you in an arena to fill out something?
I'm not saying take me from here to an arena tomorrow, but what is like the steps that I should be doing?
I
like,
can't draw you a map to a place I've never been, though.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
So if I knew, I would absolutely.
You would have already done it, eh?
I would. I would become. Yeah, I would absolutely show you how to do it if there was a formula.
Yeah.
And it's all about timing, the synchronicity of all the things that you're getting good at, while the rest of the world is catching up to liking the things that you're getting good at. Because sometimes people are just way ahead of their time, and it just takes a while for them to catch up.
Yeah, for sure, we see that. I asked. It's such a strange question.
I would just say never give up. If I can
consistency
sound,
seems to be the answer for everybody, right?
Yeah, follow your heart, never give up. If you get to the stadium, cool. If not, what a ride, man.
Yeah, that's a great answer. But it's like because when I look at like Conway, like he's probably around 40, right? Mm-hmm. So like to me, it's like damn, like he's like the guy, and he's. Like, I look at myself like, damn it, I'm 36, it's now or never. And it's like, well, he's like in his prime. And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
You can't give yourself.
But I also don't want to wait for that reason.
You keep talking about it as like a business. A great business strategy is not looking at things in increments of 6 months, 7 months. You have your whole life. So when you put it in these times of like, oh, I have to do something before this age and that age and this age and that age, that kind of like pressure that you're putting on yourself is so unnecessary. It doesn't mean anything. Like time is something that people fucking needed something to talk about and make jewelry out of on your wrist. Right? Yeah, time doesn't exist, man. Just clocks, man. Clocks do. But for real though, do you think people who start $1 million businesses look at what they have to do in a year or what they have to do in 5?
I think long term it would be your launching point. Yeah,
but you got it. You just shouldn't give yourself limitations, especially with something you can't control like age, because that's just a battle you'll never win, dude.
Yeah, it's a weird question to ask somebody. Like, hey, how do you make it? Like, so like,
I don't know anything,
I mean?
dude.
Right?
I was able to like, without doing these 3 things that I do, like aside from those pipelines, like I have to be good at all of those just to get by in a decent way to suit my life, to keep the voyage going at this rate. Not to like brag or live like I'm not a fashion rapper like you were saying. Right. I fucking, you know, I just put on clothes and go out the door and just try to focus on what I can to keep me fed and keep me going to the next place for the next thing. I feel like my whole purpose on earth is like I'm doing research, you know what I mean? Some human condition research, and the more things that I gather, the maybe my life will reflect and become better.
That's an incredible outlook, man. Let's wrap it up. Mike XL, any famous last words? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to plug?
I do have something new coming out, and it's in this great like little it's still in the alien egg. We don't have a face hugger yet.
Okay.
But
he has an alien egg coming out.
Yeah.
Look out for it. All right, then. That being said, this has been the Great Disruptor Podcast. He's Mike XL. I'm PaulAthoe. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, Mike. Peace.